What's up, everybody? I've got Mr. Neil Davis here with me, one of the guys that's helped putting on the awesome Kissmas 2020 Masquerade this year. How you doing, buddy?
Good. It's a pleasure to be here with you, buddy.
Yeah, I know. We finally get to meet face to face. That's the cool part about Zoom is,
Yeah.
everybody's, kind of secluded in their own little parts of the world right now, but through Zoom, we can hang out just pretty much like we normally can.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, Brandon, because we communicate in every different type of medium except for like looking each other in our eyes, instant messages, texting,
Yeah.
emails, phone calls. So I only way I knew what you looked like was looking at pictures online.
Oh, that's terrible. You were probably petrified.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah. I made my kids look away.
Nice, yeah. There's you gotta unblur it for if you're over 18.
Yeah, right.
Well, cool. The way these videos usually start is me looking at my phone for a couple seconds. That way I can get it shared on my social media pages and everything so people can
Okay.
tune in with us. And I'll get it posted in the, I'm going to share it into the Cruise Fest group as well
Yeah.
while we're on here going. Because I know a bunch of people like hearing about what's going on at this thing because there's a lot of cool shit happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. All right. I'm ready to jump into some of this information. We're ready to unload on the people. So if anybody doesn't know, Neil Davis, he's helping put on the Kissmas 2020 Masquerade this year. He's helped do the Cruise Fest in the past years. He's also plays Gene in Kiss America. So Neil, how long have you been doing the Cruise Fest thing?
Well, for a few years, actually, the whole pre-cruise party started a decade ago when the Kiss Cruise started, and it was just fans saying we're all going to be congregating in Miami, getting there. Why don't we all get together? The day beforehand, and do something. And it started very, very organic. Where just people got together at a bar. And it grew over time. And in fact, 3 or 4 years ago, my band Kiss America got contacted to perform at it. And I live in Florida, and the guys that were doing it weren't in Florida. So since we're all Kiss fans, we just talked a lot over the year. And they didn't know how to source all the back line, all the front of house. So they hired the band, and then almost became kind of organizers with them as far as putting the music production on. And at that point, it was still a one-day event. And I talked to I remember Joe D'Angelo and said, Joe, if you want to kind of try to blow this up and really, make it spectacular, I'm here in Florida. I'd love to help and be involved. So we became partners. And, last year, 2019 was the first time it was a 2-day event. We had Ace Frehley there. It was a 2-night headliner. Sebastian Bach was the first night. We had
Nice.
Ace Frehley as well, Return of the Comets. And it was an all-day event. It wasn't just concerts. It was just a whole day of events, of panel talks, of John Crabbe out by the pool playing guitar. And it was just, if you were a Kiss fan and all the other, who love being around other Kiss fans, we're all like that. This was just our Mecca. I mean, for those 2 days, there wasn't a better place on the planet to be than at Cruise Fest in Miami. Now, then you get on the cruise, and the cruise is the ultimate, kind of pinnacle of it all. But it was just a magical experience for all of us. And I share often is that the event, all of us that do this, none of us do it for a living. We all do something else. So we're fans putting it on. Now, don't get me wrong. We're deadly serious about putting on a great event. But the concept is, we're not trying to do this for a living, to pay our bills. We're doing it because this is our opportunity in life as fans to create the event we would want, that we would want to see. I would want to see, you'd want to see, every fan to do. So it was like, what do we want? And that's what we're going to do. And it was great. And what's amazing also is the way the artists respond to it. Ace and everybody else saying, here's what we're doing and why. And they're like going, this is amazing. This is amazing. And it was great. We had it planned for this year for Bruce Kulick and Ace to come back. And, that got canceled with the cruise as well. But we're certainly hoping, with our fingers crossed, that 2021, we're able to resonate it along with the Kiss Cruise.
Yeah, and luckily, with vaccine distribution about to start here soon, it's looking like everything. But I'm hoping by summer of next year, we're kind of have some not maybe 100% normality back in our life, but we'll be able to, you know, go out and kind of enjoy ourselves definitely a lot more than we have this past year.
It's been a
And
tough year, man. It's been a tough year for everybody.
it's the weirdest year ever, you know, man. And, you know, there's silver linings to be taken away from everything, but for the most part, it's been a very weird year. But bouncing back to, you know, to kind of putting this on as a fan, I think that's what kind of resonates with people is that, you know, Kiss fans, when you meet another Kiss fan, it's like you're instantly best friends instantly.
Yeah.
So, you know, doing stuff like this, like you said, there's not a better place to be in the world than those
Yeah.
2 days that this stuff is going on. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it coming before I was even approached about playing this year, I was coming anyway, just as a fan, because there was awesome shit going on.
Yeah.
So there's both sides of the spectrum. There is such great things to be appreciated about this. And just as a Kiss fan myself, I have to give you thanks for putting on something like this, especially this year when really there's no events happening at all.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned, Brandon, that there's a silver lining to everything, and there is. And you know, a good example is this conversation we're having right now. The two of us didn't know each other a few months ago, and because of the series of events that happened throughout the year, here we are talking about the event in 2 weeks, and you and I have got a chance to get to know each other. And you know, we're at the point in our life. It's experiences. It's enjoying things that we love. It's meeting people with common interest. And you know, there's so many people that I know have met over through years through Kiss and Kiss events that I'm going to get to see many of them in 2 weeks. And then people like, you know, you're a perfect example that I might not have met otherwise. And now I have. And, you know, we've talked plenty of times, and I always enjoy it when the phone rings and I see it's you, you know, it's, it's so what's the silver lining is that, you know, it's given us an opportunity to meet new people and try new things.
Of course. And, you know, for myself personally, it's like, you know, I might have lost 100 gigs off the books this year, but it turned into, you know, guys like Todd Kearns and Jeremy Asbrock and Matt Starr having the time to start a new band with me. And now we've got all that, which kind of helped lead to this. And, you know, there's just so many things that wouldn't have happened if COVID would have never happened that, you know, in the grand scheme of things might have been better for the long run. You know, obviously not taking away from the terribleness to everything that's going on, but there's always good things to be appreciated about all things.
That's right. You got to look at the glasses half full. And, you know, I think, you know, you did that with those guys, and you're not going to brag on yourself. So I will, because I know those guys, and they just talk about what an amazing musician you are, what amazing, how proud they are to be involved with the project you put together. And like you said, maybe a year ago, you might not have ever envisioned that. So, you know, you took this opportunity and used it to create some new art for people to experience.
I appreciate it very much, man. Yeah, if you'd have told me a year ago that I'd have been in a band with guys from Slash and Ace's band, I'd have been like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, I know it, man. So, you know, that's good.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, man. And, you know, kind of, we're going to jump forward to the Kissmas 2020 Masquerade. So when everything kind of was in place that you knew that nothing was going to happen as scheduled this year, how quick did you instantly start to think of doing something? Was it something that kind of grew over time, or was it something that you were, all right, let's see what we can do no matter what?
Well, you know, it's an organic way these things grow. You know, we had an event plan. We had Cruise Fest planned, and if we wanted to just have an event, we would have just stuck with that. But the structure of Cruise Fest doesn't fit the world we live in right now. So one of my partners, good friend Brian Bell, who's one of the partners in Cruise Fest and is in my other partner on Kissmas Masquerade, over the summer months, we were talking about, you know, how could we you know, do something, you know, to end the year on a high note. But we knew if we did it, we were going to have to completely kind of retool how we put on an event. And, you know, the things like Cruise Fest, other big shows that are in big hotels, you know, they wouldn't fit what we needed to do. So we kind of sat down and said, if we were going to do it, I remember we were talking about, we said, let's pretend COVID never goes away. You know, so we have to learn how to put on an event. How would that event look? What would it look like? And we sat around just talking about it. And then we said, well, you know, okay. And we started brainstorming it. And, you know, I talked to a few other Kiss fans and that I know and got their opinions. And it just grew organically. And it started very small, well, the concept. And we said, well, if we could do that, why could we do this? Could we do that? And it's really kind of grown into, you know, an event I'm extremely proud of. And I think a lot of people are happy that we've got something to end a rough year on a high note with.
Of course, and you know, that seems to kind of be a universal mindset with, you know, successful people just like yourself when it comes to adapting to any circumstance that gets thrown at you. Because as we know, there's a lot of people right now that are doing nothing but waiting for the pandemic to be over. And it's
Yeah.
like you said, what if it never goes away? And you guys really got on the ball about, you know, catering an event to exactly what we can do right now, staying safe for everybody, while also making a badass live event as well. Because there are going to be people there in person, but, you know, live streaming as well is becoming such a huge part of every industry, not just necessarily the music industry. You just take Zoom, for instance, there's businesses across the world that are adapting to this because, you know, working from home and all the other stuff. So I think you guys did a really good job as, you know, adapting to the circumstance that was thrown to you.
Well, you know, Brandon, we if we had Kruise Fest, we would have had 1,500 people there at least. And at Kissmas Masquerade, but no stream. You know, a year ago, you'd said, hey, you want to stream one of your shows? I'd said, no, why would we do that?
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, we'll have 150 people. So we'll have 10% of what we'd had at Kruise Fest, but we're streaming it to a huge crowd. So it's really, you know, the way people kind of experience their entertainment has changed, and it gives people across the world or across the country the opportunity to be there without physically being there as well. And so it just made us, it's forced us to look at different ways to provide entertainment, live music to people. And, you know, I'm proud of it. Of course, we all look forward to the day we can all stand next to each other in a concert hall and pump our hands. And we look forward to it. But the interim time, I think myself and Brian Bell, we refuse to give up a year of our life without doing anything. Now, it's got to be done the right way, Brandon. You know, we've talked about this before. Everything, this event with 150 people is much harder to put on than a 2-day, 1,500 person Kruise Fest event.
Of
because
course.
of all the other things that go involved with it. And but we don't mind doing the work, and you know, we're happy the way it's all come together.
Absolutely. And, you know, bouncing back to, you know, there's going to be 150 people there at the show. But realistically, when you cater in the live streaming experience, there could potentially be more people seeing this show than the past Kruise Fest combined when you take in all the Kiss fans around the world being able to, you know, experience this from the safety of their own home as well if they're not comfortable coming to the show.
Right, that's right.
And
that's right.
There's stuff that, you know, you got like Rick Derringer coming to play, and that's something that every Kiss fan should be excited about. So the demographic is just absolutely astronomical when you count in all these things that are happening. So tell me a little about some of the artists you got performing at the Kissmas Masquerade this year.
Well, sure. And you mentioned Rick Derringer, and so I'll start with him. And you know, this is really exciting, and a lot of Kiss
No
fans,
pun intended.
Yeah. You know, but a lot of people know what I'm about to share, but some people don't. And Rick Derringer has had a storied career on his own. You know, you know, he's had amazing music, is universally thought of as one of the gods of guitar. Has had his own career, has played with other people. He played in the Ringo Starr All-Star Band for many years.
Yeah, Edgar Winter Group.
Right. Yeah. But what a lot of the general public doesn't know, a lot of Kiss fans do, was that in the early '80s, when Kiss was recording the Lick It Up album, the very first song on the album was Exciter, the song Exciter. And for whatever reason at the time, the producer didn't feel that Vinnie Vincent, what he was playing fit. And they reached out to Rick Derringer and asked him to come in and play all the lead guitars on that song Exciter. And if you know the song, it's just a kick-ass song. And he played that, and hasn't played it since. And so I had the opportunity to talk to Rick and said, you know, we'd like you to come and do a few things. Play it, because no Kiss fans ever seen you play it. And you know, as Kiss fans, we all love, you know, our little bits of history. You know, who played this, who played that. And not only is he playing it, but he's playing it with the Talisman, with Ace's band. So for the first time ever, we're going to see the song Exciter performed live with the actual person who played lead guitar on it, Rick Derringer.
Yeah,
Also, yeah, which
fantastic.
is cool. Yeah. And what also is really, I think, cool is that, Rick's going to do a talk forum hosted by Eddie Trunk, and
Okay, nice.
talk about things that today, when you record an album, everybody records it in their own place, and everyone sends it to electronically. Back in the day, that wasn't like that. You all converged on a studio, and it was a different element. So
Unless you were recording The Elder and Aces at Home.
well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I guess he's a pioneer, in that regard, before Pro Tools. But, he was telling me he goes, yeah, I remember when Gene Simmons called me about doing this. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, everybody wants to hear what happened. So he's going to talk about, how did it come about that he's playing on this album? What did they talk to him about? Who was in the studio with him? What does he think of the song? What has been interaction with Kiss afterwards? And, that's the type of stuff as fans we love to hear. And there's a lot of in-depth knowledge that Kiss fans have out there, but this is one chapter of it all that's really been an unknown for years, and we're going to have that story told in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And kind of on that same subject, somebody after hearing Rick's story about it, obviously, I would love to hear Gene and Paul's story about why they decided to reach out to Rick specifically, because when you think about a song like Exciter, that type of guitar work, Rick Derringer is not one of the first guitarists you think of when you think of that. That's a very metal song for Kiss, and some shredding guitar. And of course, Rick Derringer is a fantastic lead guitarist, but that style of music isn't something that I feel like Derringer would be the first one that would come to mind on that.
Right.
So I would love to hear why they had him in mind.
A lot of Kiss fans, there's I don't know if rumors or speculation that he's played on other Kiss albums as well, or been involved in some capacity. And those are questions we're going to ask him. Were you involved ever in the studio for the recording of side 4 of Alive 4, of Alive 2? There's been talk that he was around there, and some people think it's true, some people it's not. We're going to ask him that question and find out. So, when did he get involved, and how much did he do? Because he could have played other things that didn't make it on the album. We just don't know, and we're going to find those things out in 2 weeks.
Of course, and kind of talking about that as well. I absolutely know as a Kiss fan, there's some music that we haven't heard from those guys from that whole period that I just feel like it has to see the light of day at some point. So. Yeah. There's this, and I know we got the Vault a few years ago, and that was cool, but that was a lot of demos, that had been circulating around for a while for the most part. Besides, I think the coolest thing about the Vault was the 2 tracks, Got Love for Sale and Christine 16, that Gene cut with Eddie and Alex.
Right, sure.
I would have bought the Vault just to hear those.
Yeah. I've got it 10 feet away from me, so nice. I keep it, proudly displayed in my living room and listen to those discs often.
Nice, very nice. Cool. So we talked about Rick Derringer playing there. So in the Talisman, and tell me about some of the other artists that are playing.
Yeah.
There.
So the concept of it all was everything we did, every performance really kind of had to fit. There's a purpose why we were doing it, when we were doing it. So it starts off Friday night, and for everybody that's been on the Kiss Cruise is a magical 5 days. So many great things happen, but it always starts off with the Sail Away show, Sail Away acoustic show. And in those cases, we're sailing away from port, and the energy's so high. I mean, every corny thing you can say is true, is happening. And we didn't get one this year. So talking with the Talisman, Phil and the guys, we said, why don't we have a Sail Away show, but a Sail Away from 2020? Because let's sail, get it behind us. And again, so we're starting on Friday night, where they're doing an acoustic show, very similar to the Sail Away show on the cruise. But it's going to have its own spin. Those 3 guys have unique, witty, fun, great personalities. And, I think we're going to see those come out, in between songs when they talk and tell stories. Like the Kiss Cruise, the Sail Away, it's going to be primarily deep cuts of songs that we don't often hear in a live setting. So, that's the very first way we kick it off. After that, we've got an incredible Florida-based band called Led Zeppelin. They're a Led Zeppelin tribute band. And, the reason why we wanted, the event, 90% of it circles around Kiss music. But, first, Led Zeppelin's an iconic band, and that I think everybody appreciates and, appreciates at a minimum and loves to a maximum. But, I've also shared is that when you go to the End of the Road tour, the last song Kiss plays before the lights go off is always a Led Zeppelin song. And, you know, it's that high energy and they end it and the lights go off. And often over the years, Paul will play little medleys of Led Zeppelin in his Black Diamond area. So, you know, there's certainly some, if not connection, some respect that they have for Led Zeppelin. So we thought it'd be a great way to honor that band as well. Then that night, the Talisman are coming back, but it's not just the Talisman. You know, they're partnering with John Beauvoir, and who has a rich history, you know, with Kiss, particularly in the '80s, writing with many Kiss songs with Paul Stanley, and as well as other things he's done with the I mean, he's got so much great things he's done.
Of course.
So he's going to come over, and we've created a new band, you know, the John and the Talisman, and they're going to play, you know, I think probably primarily classic Kiss songs from the '80s era as well. And you know, we get to hear John, you know, sing them, perform them. Everybody who knows John, who's watching this, is shaking in their head, and they say, "We get it completely. He's amazing, high energy." If you haven't had that opportunity, you know, you're in for a treat. He's just electrifying, and not only he's just one of the greatest guys. You know, when you talk to him, if you don't walk away from a conversation with John smiling, there's something wrong with you, because he's just a great, nice human being who genuinely cares for everybody he meets.
Absolutely.
So there's 3 awesome shows on Friday night. We're actually going to start the evening with the Hotter Than Hell happy hour before that at 5 o'clock, but the music starts about 7ish. Then on Saturday, we start off, the morning starts about 10 a.m. You know, we've got vendors, activities all outside. You know, during the daytime on Saturday, we have outside events, again, with the concept of that, you know, it gives everybody an opportunity to have a little more space. The first performance we have is a Florida guitarist named Gary Shutt, and he's doing a salute to the music of Eddie Van Halen. And, you know, Gary is just a prolific guitarist whose style has always been very similar to Eddie's. And we thought with you know, of all the losses we've had this year, there's another one. You're losing Eddie Van Halen. This would be our opportunity to I think, kind of pay respect and tribute to the leads, all the music he's played. So we're really excited about that. And I've seen Gary do this work before. So, you know, nobody can do Eddie like Eddie, but he's one of the few people out there that can come as close as possible to it. So I think that's gonna be a real treat for us. We then have some panel discussions. We have something called Tour Talks, where we've got a couple of guys from the Talisman. You know, we got Keith LaRue from Tour with Kiss, and they're going to be Eddie Trunk's going to moderate a discussion of, you know, what's it like being on the road with Gene Simmons in the Gene Simmons solo band. What's a day like with him? What about with your Ace? What is it? How, you know, tell us about that. With Kiss, you're with all of them. How, you know, tell us what those experiences are like. Not on the stage. We see what happens on the stage. What happens off the stage? So I think, again, as Kiss fans, it's just fascinating to hear about you know, how everything that happens between Friday night show and Saturday night show. What are the details for the 24 hours in between it? So that's going to be Tour Talk.
And Keith works directly with Paul, so you know he's going to have a lot of awesome stories about that. He's going to share with everybody.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. And then we've got something I'm really excited about is we have actually, I don't know, a month or so ago, I was watching one of your shows, and Kurt Froelich was on it, and you know, he spoke. You know, I really enjoyed the conversation the two of you had. You know, he's clearly, you know, a great musician. Has done a lot of great things, and you know, with his now he's with you know, Steve Riley's LA Guns, and you know, the nice thing with Kurt for us is that lives in Florida, and so we put together really the Kurt Froelich and Friends band that performs, and I see the big smile on your face because you're one of those friends. So you know, Kurt's got some various different musicians that's going to be joining him and playing. I think a salute to a lot of the, you know, I think some of the 70s, Kiss Alive 2, Deeper Cut.
I can give you a little peek into the set list. So
yeah. Well, don't ruin the surprise too much.
I'm not going to ruin it, but I will say this: the first 2 songs in the set come off side 4 of Alive 2.
Yeah.
And Phil Schaus is going to be playing bass for those 2 songs when we kick it off. Then he's going to hand the bass off to Alex Kane from Enough's Enough.
Yep.
And Jeremy's coming up for 3 songs. You're coming up and doing 2 songs with us. Ryan Cook's coming up and doing 2 songs with us. So you know, just kind of talking about that set a little more, you know, just like I said in the beginning of this interview, I was originally coming to this event just as a fan to hang out and experience the awesome event that you guys put together. And now that I'm getting to, you know, split lead vocal and lead guitar duties in a band that's playing at a Kiss Expo, you know, it's all I'm very grateful for the whole opportunity. And thank you so much for reaching out to me to, you know, kind of help put that together a little.
Yeah, well, you know, it's because you look on social media and I saw the things you've done with those other guys, and you know, we haven't known each other before, you know, and I called because Phil Schaus and I through all this, you know, we speak, you know, gosh, every day, and I called him up and I said, hey, you know, turns out I didn't know all you guys are doing stuff with Brandon. He goes, there you go. He is an awesome guy, great guitarist, you know, just a pleasure to work with. And then, you know, then you and I talked about, you know, Kurt and you guys doing something. And then it just, in fact, we originally talked about the two of you doing acoustic, the two of you up there strumming acoustic guitars. Yeah. It's like everything with Kissmas Masquerade. If this is a good idea, effect, this is a better idea. And now it's turned into a full electric kind of all-star, you know, friends and families playing various Kiss songs.
Of course. And, you know, man, some of the best experiences I've had playing music are those kind of jam session moments that are just because they're spontaneous and they're just kind of unpredictable. And, you know, there's less pressure involved in that because you kind of view it as like, hey, I'm just up here playing with my friends right now. And regardless that, the whole thing is being live streamed, there's going to be people there, but it's just a feel good attitude about the whole thing. And, you know, just having all of that kind of thrown into the whole situation is going to make for a very awesome set. I know that when people hear the songs that we put in our set list, it's going to be just as exciting as most things happening. And, you know, I hear guys like Todd Kearns talk about it playing with Bruce's. You cannot dig deep enough in the Kiss catalog for the people that come to these events. So that's why there's really nothing that's out of the question when you're putting together a set list for these things, because you're like, obviously, it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum where you think about Kiss and you're like, well, everybody's heard Rock and Roll All Night 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. But it's like, hey, we might not get to hear stuff like we just mentioned, like Got Love for Sale or Christine 16 or Plaster Caster, stuff like that. You know, and so everything is just going to be awesome. And I think this might be one of the most excited I've ever been about performing somewhere. So thank you again for including me in this.
Well, you know, you talked about something that's really, I think, important for Kiss fans to know about this. You know, there's a huge catalog of Kiss music. And on tours, like End of the Road tour, other tours, and by the way, I'm a huge fan of the End of the Road tour. I've seen it countless
times. The stage
times.
show is fantastic.
But the songs are you know, your staples. You know, Shout Out Loud, Deuce. I mean, great songs. I love them.
They got a few of the deep cuts in there. I was really surprised that they pulled out 100,000 Years when I saw them. That was one of the most excited I got throughout the show is when that started.
But you know, most of the songs are their primary ones, the great songs. And you know, what we said is that we don't need to put on an event just to replay those songs again. So in fact, you know that, you know, we all the bands, we all shared our set list with the ideas like, first, let's make sure they're all like deep, not often heard songs, and make sure that we don't have overlap. So, you know, you don't need to be playing one song, the next band's playing the same song again. Let's use this opportunity to get a wide spectrum of songs. So not only are you a deep cuts, with everyone being deep cuts, literally everything's going to be played that you normally don't hear.
Yeah, and you don't want to hear all 4 or 5 bands doing like Parasite or something like that. Just, you can insert any song into that example. Yeah. So I think that's another thing with this event. You just have the bands are friends with each other. So doing stuff like that, sharing our set list with each other, making sure none of us are playing the same songs. It just makes the whole experience for the event, you know, just there's such a good energy coming from every aspect of this.
Yeah. So anyways, we're thrilled about what you guys are doing. And, you know, it's a weekend of highlights. And that's one of the highlights of as well. So
it's all a highlight. The whole event is a highlight of 2020.
Yeah. So we finished that. You know, during it, we're having a kind of a rock and roll lunch. My buddy Jay Jadowski's hosting the lunch. And then we have Eddie Trunk's coming up, and he's hosting the Rick Derringer conversation series with them right after your band performs. Then after that, we're doing something really cool. We talked about Phil Schaus. Phil is a person who doesn't let a good pandemic go to waste. He's
Absolutely.
been and amongst the many things he's done to stay busy, he created a web TV show called Schaus Rules, and it's really kind of based on
fantastic.
a sitcom. Yeah, he comes up and he does like a Johnny Carson.
Yeah,
kind of
I love that like Letterman type feel that he has in the intro. It's great.
And he's a very charismatic guy, so he pulls it off well. But he's always filmed it in his home, and then he interviews people like we're doing it. And so the first time ever, we said, let's do a Schaus Rules live in front of a live studio audience. So he's going to do it. I don't want to say there's some incredible things on a weekend of incredible events. There's some most, I think, jaw-dropping things will be happening during Schaus Rules that I'm not going to share because it's just too, we're too excited about it to not make it a surprise.
Peter Criss is going to show up.
Well, no, I mean, I will tell you that what's going to happen is all I'm going to say. You can put 100 Kiss fans, hardcore fans in a room, give them an hour to brainstorm and put up a list and say, here's the top 100 things we can think of be, and none of them will get it. And then when they see it, what we're doing, when they see it, they'll go, I think with Phil and I think people will say it's something.
I'm excited for this now.
So, anyways, and on top of that, he's interviewing Chip from Enough's Enough and John
nice.
Squire as well. So, talk about their career. They both have ties to Kiss, and they've done incredible things on their own. So that's the Schaus Rules show. So that's going to be great. Then we have the rock and roll rock and roll dinner, and some people might or might not know it, but it's Ryan Spencer Cook's birthday. 2 weeks from tomorrow on that Saturday. So we're having the dinner, and we're going to we're having actually grills outside. We're barbecuing chicken. We're gonna have pork. I mean, it's gonna be a great feast, and we're having a cupcake for everybody because today's day and age you don't cut cakes and hand it off. Everyone's got a cupcake, and then we're gonna have Ryan come out, and we're all gonna sing him happy birthday, and then everybody have their own cupcake.
Nice.
So that will really be as the sun's setting. So that'll be the end of the day time. So then we'll all transition into the concert hall. And we've got 4 great events. It starts off actually, my band Kiss America is performing, and what we're doing, and we've only done it once before, and it was at a Kiss event. Normally when we play, we wear, the big destroyer armor, the really costumes that most people recognize. But for Kiss fans, we want to do something different. And we've got the old hotter than hell costumes, the black leather, the skulls on them as well. And we're going to wear the old school costume,
which is my favorite costume. So that ace top on that is, man, that's so cool.
Yeah. I got it sitting right aside for about 5 feet away from me. So it is. I go and look at it, I get chills on it. It's so cool looking.
That's great.
And, but what we did is we sampled if you remember the first 3 albums, they repackaged them and called them the originals. So, we're kind of saying this is a salute to the originals, and we're taking songs off of that. Now, again, there were some, Deuce came off of that, Black Diamond, some great, but we're not playing those. We're not playing those. I don't want to.
No rock and roll all night. No.
But Love Her All I Can. Ladies in Waiting. I love.
Love Her All I Can just has to be one of the absolutely most underrated Ace Frehley guitar solos ever. It's like, why do I not hear that get mentioned more? Because I love the way that comes in. That's some of Ace's best playing on that track.
Yeah. I just mentioned like Ladies in Waiting was never a big hit song. I love it. I love listening to it. I love playing it. And I love the way we end it, with a real high energy, solo.
The intro is really heavy for Kiss, man. And that's actually one of the tunes that was an older tune, I think, that resurfaced around for Dress to Kill when they recorded that.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. So we're going to do just a power-packed set of deep cuts from the first 3 of the original albums. After that, we transition, and some guys that you're friends with, the guys from Enough's Enough are coming, and we're just absolutely.
I've never heard of them. No, I'm
thrilled and honored, for them to come. And a lot of the guys that are coming, I've known them before to some capacity. I don't know the guys from Enough's Enough, and but I've seen them. And I've seen them play. I saw them 2 years ago at House of Blues in Orlando, and they're just so great live. Chip, the whole band's great. Chip's this, it's a character on stage watching them. And, they've got some very memorable music. And I just thought they would be a wonderful addition. I'm just really happy that they're going to be added as well.
Absolutely. So, Chip kind of just embodies the whole rock and roll experience, I had him on the show here recently, him and Alex, both from Enough's Enough. Yep. And one of the comments on the YouTube video was, Chip's just rock and roll all day, man. He's like, he doesn't do the lounging in his pajamas. He's like, no, he's full rock star mode 24/7.
That's right. Yeah. His sunglasses are like jeans, paint, on his face. It's just an iconic look. And
absolutely.
And it's great. So we're again, I think people that are listening and watching this, if you've seen Enough's Enough, you've heard them, you're shaking your head saying, awesome. Can't wait for them to be there.
And the new lineup is fantastic. One of the last shows that I got to do before COVID was the band I was in, Whiskey A Go-Go. We opened up for Enough's Enough at the Token in Detroit, which that lineup is just fantastic. And for anybody that doesn't really know, that might not have kept up with the band to hear as recently, Chip Zenoff sings all the vocals in the band now. And does a fantastic job, not just on the new stuff that they've released, but also the classics, that Donnie sang back in the day. Chip's got a great voice that I don't think most people knew about until he kind of took the reins on the microphone.
That's right. Yeah. And, he's been very respectful about the history of the band, but he completely carries it, and it doesn't miss a beat with him on the lead vocals.
He's another one of those people that's like, the successful universal mindset of always stay moving, never slow down. And he's keeping that ball rolling and adapting to whatever circumstance he gets thrown to.
Yep. Yeah. So that's just going to be, an absolute, great show. And then after that, we really got something that I'm excited about. And you mentioned, Todd Kearns and Bruce Kulick. I'm really, I put these events on, but listen, I'm a fan. I'm a fan like you and everybody else. And I had the pleasure in February of this year, right before everything got bad, Brian Bell and I were in Las Vegas because we were going to the Kiss Into the Road show in Laughlin, the city right outside of Vegas. And we went and met Bruce because he was doing some recordings for us for some videos for our event. And we just said, Bruce, hey, come over 20 minutes, film the videos, and that'll be it. No, you're busy. He and his amazing wife came over. We shot the videos, and they sat for like 3 hours. We just sat around and shot the bowl. And they're just great. So when this idea came up, I reached out to him. Bruce is out west and isn't traveling. So we said, well, okay, understand everybody kind of approaches this differently, and he's on the other side of the country. And we said, well, what if Bruce and Todd, they both live in Las Vegas, did a stream of us, of the two of them playing acoustic Kiss. And, I tell people, like, I still love listening to a live 3 when Bruce plays on Forever, the acoustic lead. And, he's just a great guitarist. And Todd Kearns is as good as anybody in the industry.
One of the best voices ever.
Yeah. So we worked out something with our partner, Meat Hook Live, which is our streaming company, where they can basically, they're streaming to us, and when we're streaming to the world. So, all the, people across the world, will see the stream just like every other show. The people in Sarasota, we have a giant screen at the back of the stage. So we'll watch them playing it. But, I think myself, Brandon, I go, this is a member of Kiss. I mean, he was in the band, for well over a decade, from the early 80s to 96. And he and Todd are playing acoustic show for us. And, and I talk to Bruce regularly. He's just a great guy. He's excited about this. And, he's disappointed like every musician. He hadn't been able to stand on stage and play with people. He's thrilled to have the chance to do this as well. And when we got the tech, because at first it was like, how do we get the technology working? And when we got Meat Hook Live involved, we figured out our technology people about how we could make a stream to a stream work. And, it's gonna be great. The music he's playing is gonna be amazing. And, I think they're gonna, kind of interject kind of stories about the songs, what they mean to them, different experiences of playing it. So I think it's gonna be a magical opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, that might be the performance that I'm most excited about for the weekend is Todd and Bruce. And I had Todd on here 2-3 nights ago. And of course, I talk to Todd almost more than anybody in my phone now, which going back to, technology and everything nowadays, it's me and Todd have never hung out with each other. And now through COVID, we're, like I said, I text him as much as anybody in my phone.
Best buds. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I asked him the other night when he was on here, we were talking about this event and him playing with Bruce. And I was like, you don't have to name drop any songs. But I was like, can we expect a good amount of stuff that you've never played with Bruce? Because for anybody that doesn't know, Todd's played in Bruce's band on the Kruise for like the last 3+ years. Right. And they've covered a wide range of material. Yeah. But, some things don't translate to acoustic as well as they do in the full band situation. So he said that we can expect some stuff that we've not heard him play with Bruce. So I'm very excited for that set. And, my personal ranking with the Kiss guitarists, it's kind of, I got 2 lists. And, my personal favorite, and he's up there with Slash as my favorite guitarist of all time, is Ace, obviously. Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty consistent that Ace is most people's favorite Kiss guitarist. But when you talk about technical skill and just everything they bring to the table as a guitarist, Bruce is probably the best guitarist that was in Kiss. Yeah. So, and Kiss doesn't touch a lot of that material with the 10-foot pole now that, Bruce played on. So it's such a treat getting to see Bruce play with his band and, Todd playing those songs and with him and singing them fantastic. So I'm so excited for their set, man.
Yeah. And I can't say the words any better than what you just said. About what you just said. It's so true. And I kind of, again, sometimes kind of pinch myself and saying, Bruce Kulick is playing for us in 2 weeks. Todd Kerns are playing for us. All the musicians, it's amazing. But, Bruce was an idol to all of us.
Having an actual member of Kiss involved in the event is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's great. Yeah, I think they're going to blow everybody's mind with what they're doing, like they do every year. Yeah,
without question.
Whenever the cruise happens, the first footage I'm waiting for every year is the footage of Bruce's band.
Yeah. Well, I've been fortunate enough to be on the Cruise the last number of years and standing right in front of them. And, you hear songs like, King of the Mountain getting played, things you don't hear typically. And it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, those medleys they do of Animalize and Carnival of Souls, just shit you would never hear live in any other setting. And that kind of goes back to not being able to pull deep enough for these fans that come to these events.
Yeah. Well, his whole band, the 4 of them are all talented. And, they were supposed to be one of the headliners at Cruise Fest this past year. And, we hope that our paths cross with them in the future as well. But again, in the interim time, we refused to not to have anything this year. And, we didn't get the 4 of them playing on stage, but we got Bruce and Todd doing an acoustic set for us, and what's been a rotten year. I don't know how we can't say, my goodness, aren't we lucky that Bruce and Todd agreed to do something like this for us?
Oh yeah, it is. I'm so happy that this is happening, and the comment is beyond genuine when I think this might be the thing I'm most excited for the weekend. Yeah. And I'm even playing, so I'm more excited about watching these guys than I am playing.
Of course. I agree. We actually put a section in the concert hall for the artists like you guys, so you can come out and watch Bruce's show as well. Because nice. We've compartmentalized the concert hall. It's not like you can't go wherever you want to. Everybody's like assigned little cubbies, and we created one for the artists because we thought that everybody would want to experience that as well, the other artists.
Of course.
So how do you finish it? You have that. What can you do after that? And the idea we have the Talisman of coming back to finish up the night. And we wanted, again, the idea is we always want to do something different. And one of the as a Kiss fan, we all, have different opinions. We love all the albums. We have different opinions. We all have our favorites. For me, maybe it was because when I first, as a young kid in the 70s, one of the first Kiss albums, right when Rock and Roll Over came out, it's always endeared on me. And, for whatever reason, it's not that many songs off that album make it on the typical tours. You see a lot more off of Love Gun and Destroyer albums.
Which is so weird because you think of songs like Mr. Speed, which to a a pretty hard Kiss fan, Mr. Speed is always in the like top 10 of your Kiss songs.
Yep.
And Kiss has never played that song live besides they did it on the when they were doing the Kiss Expos in the 90s,
Yep.
and which they didn't even play the whole thing. They like the footage I've seen, they stopped right at the guitar solo. And then I think in Japan, they played a little bit of it. But like you said, those songs don't make it into the Kiss set for really ever. And it's so weird because to a big Kiss fan, that's like one of the albums.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it is, and we all have the ones we love. I mean, to me, love them, leave them. Just it's great. You don't hear it. I still think back in the '70s when watching Don Kirshner's rock concert, and they came out and played "I Want You," "Love 'Em, Leave 'Em," and "Hard Luck Woman," and those songs really haven't been played that often over the years since then. So so the Talisman are playing that song from beginning to end. Every song on the album is the tribute to Rock and Roll Over. Then it's almost like a second show. They, leave and they come back and do an encore performance, and that's where you're going to have Rick Derringer come up and join them. I think they're going to play a couple of Rick's classic songs. They're going to play Exciter. They've got a few other the people, the musicians that are going to be doing some exciting things as well. And I think the idea is that at the end it's going to end with everybody that's participated in the event, having some representation on that stage as a final salute, and kind of salute to 2020 and thank you and show of love to all the fans that are there in person or watching it live streaming it or are there in spirit. And the sad part of it all is when they hit that final last note, just saying, well, tomorrow we've got to get up and everybody's got to kind of go home. And but at least we go back, the next week after, the Christmas holidays. So hopefully everybody goes over and can really feel uplifted for the holiday season.
Yeah, and this is, like you said, it's kind of selling away from 2020, and with the view of good things kind of on the horizon as far as things possibly getting back to normal sometime within the next 6 months, which still sounds crazy saying like 6 months is a short time period, but in the grand scheme of all this, it's really not. This is kind of a good event that's going to lift everybody's spirits, and it's kind of going hand in hand that, hey, things are getting better and they will be okay, and we're going to celebrate what we can right now.
Yeah, that's right. And Ray, it's also worth noting is that we talked a lot about the music, but we've got some amazing merchants selling some really cool Kiss merchandise. We've got some things like this is one of the things that's going to be available, a replica of the Gene Simmons fire-breathing sword. We're going to have items like that. One thing we're doing for
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So one thing we're doing for all the live streaming is that every person who buys a ticket for the live stream, its name is putting in a raffle. This is only for the live stream people. And we're going to draw a name out on Saturday, and that person is going to win this bass sitting over here behind my shoulder. And in fact, Phil Schaus is going to play it for one of the songs and then sign it for the person as well. And
nice.
So everybody, and the live streaming tickets right now, the pre-sale right now, it's $12 for not a day, for both days, $12. And what's important, because I talked to a lot of people in different parts of the world, Australia, Ireland, and different time zones. And they're going, well, when they're playing, I'm at work, I'm asleep, whatever it might be. You can watch it while it's happening, or you can watch it up for another 48 hours afterwards. So if for whatever reason where you live, it doesn't fit into your schedule, you've got the opportunity to see it once you wake up that morning or whenever you want to as well. But one person from the live stream is going to have that bass shipped to them the week after the event. I'm
going to have to go buy some live stream tickets now.
Yeah. Give them away to all your friends for early holiday presents, and then you keep the entries into the raffle.
Of course, and I've been telling everybody about this because, like I said, I was coming as a fan before I was even playing. So this is. Thank you again for just putting this on, and I've said it a couple times, and I'll keep saying it until the event and through the event and after the event. But it is so cool to see something like this happening at a time where everybody's just having a very bad year for the most part.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping again it ends a tough year on a good note, and there's so much to look forward to next year. Your album's coming out. That's going to be a highlight in the first part of the year. you know, you're involved with a lot of different music projects, so it'll give you an opportunity to get up on stages, you know, across the country and do what you do so well, as long as so many other musicians also. So, you know, we're going to end the year strong, and we're going to start next year on a high note.
And I think the funniest part, when you kind of talk about Minefield a little, and like I said, me and Todd Kearns have never been in the same room, excuse me. Except for one time I saw Slash open up for Aerosmith, but he was on stage and I was way up in the nosebleeds.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've recorded a 10-song album together, have done all these interviews together now through Zoom and stuff like this. And I think the funniest thing about this whole Kissmas Masquerade is me and him are both playing, but we still won't meet each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's a crazy world we live in nowadays.
Well, I'm coming to the show when you guys can all get together and perform together. I don't know where that show will be, and I don't care. I'm going to be at it.
It's going to be in Neil Davis's backyard. That's where.
Yeah, perfect. Then definitely. So that's outstanding. So
nice. And we touched on it a little briefly, but for anybody that didn't pick it up through this, Eddie Trunk is going to be there hosting the live streaming and handling some of the discussions. So talk to me about the decision to bring Eddie on, because as a lot of Kiss fans know, Eddie's kind of vocal about what happens in Kiss nowadays, but that's kind of the beauty of these Kiss expos, is that they're not era specific. It's a celebration of all things Kiss. So talk to me about bringing Eddie on.
So we're having this, we've had meetings with our groups and talked about what's the live stream experience going to be like. We know what it's like to be at an event. And we said, you know, you're going to have shows and like over here on a stage, you're going to be over here. How do we pull it over together? So we didn't want just to feel like a series of different, you know, events. So we said we really want to have somebody that can kind of bring everything together and do it in a professional way. When we interview these amazing artists, we've got this great opportunity, somebody that's really experienced doing it as well. And, you know, Eddie's the first one that came to mind. Now, you're absolutely right. Eddie's, I don't know, polarizing is the right word. Some people some people love what he says. Some people don't like his views on some of the members of Kiss. Eddie's not being interviewed about his opinions on Kiss. Eddie is interviewing other people, and he's very, very good at what he does. You know, for everything, he loves Kiss. You know, everybody might not respect
he will still say that he's one of the biggest Kiss fans ever.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, Eddie's one of these guys. I'll tell you, and I've had some people I know say, hey, I don't like Eddie Trunk because he said this stuff. And I go, well, you know, I mean, that's okay. But I mean,
I'm sure we wouldn't like some of the shit you've said before. But that person, the person making those comments.
But I'll tell you, we a couple of weeks ago, I was on the phone with Eddie, and we were, you know, we do these live streams as well every Tuesday night for the Kissmas event. And we had technology problems. His wasn't working. I
saw that. Was that where you were holding the phone up?
So literally, it shows you a countdown. It's like 15 seconds. We're still trying to get it to work. And I said, I got to FaceTime you. Hold it up. He was an absolute, you know, and I'd only talked on the phone 10 minutes beforehand. He was great about it. I mean, if you weren't watching it, you would have thought nothing was wrong with it all. And we talked afterwards to go over, and I just thought to myself, you know, this is just a great guy. He could have been a jerk and said, who are these guys in Florida? You know, what's going on? You know, nothing like that at all. He's like, hey man, I'm sorry it worked out. I hope you're okay with it all. I said, Eddie, listen, it's live. Things happen live. You know, you were great. It was a great conversation, and it's okay. And
adapt and overcome.
I had a lot of respect for the way he handled himself on that.
Of course, yeah. And, you know, like you said, Eddie does he's been doing what he's done for so long because he's good at it.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though he might have polarizing views about the current lineup of Kiss and everything, he will still say that he's one of the biggest Kiss fans ever. Yeah. And, you know, that's not just an Eddie Trunk exclusive things. There are diehard Kiss fans who have the same opinions as him that, you know, I think Eddie gets a little more of a bad rap because he sits in the public eye. But,
he talks about polarizing subjects. Some people, you know, avoid it. I avoid it because I know not everyone looks at it differently. But I'll tell you, this is what I thought about with Eddie. Prior to this, I was going to stay on stage and interview Rick Derringer, interview everybody else. And for me, what a thrill. And I said, you know what? It's for everybody else. it would be much better experience to have Eddie Trunk doing it than myself or anyone else. So I said, what's best for making this again, real professional event? Let's have a pro do it. And like his views or not, he's a pro at what he does. And I'm thrilled he's coming, and I think he's going to do a great job kind of, tying everything together.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think of, journalists and people on radio personalities in the rock and roll world, you can't think of people like that without thinking of Eddie Trunk almost immediately.
Yeah.
So, and that's like you said, you're trying to create the best experience for the fans, and what better way to get one of the guys in the industry to come host all of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely, that's 100% the thought process and why Eddie's coming to the event and being the host for the event.
Of course. And I've got, now that we've talked about that, I've got a couple little questions just for fun before we get out of here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I think it was 2 years ago, Vinnie Vincent played at the Kruise Fest with 4 by Fate. Did you have a hand in making that happen?
No, I didn't. So I was really involved with Vinny as far as I was at the sound check. I got all his backline there. I was at the sound check the night before when he came in. I actually walked him up on stage. It was an old rickety stage and so forth. And
oh, wow, nice.
And our band played, actually right after them as well. So we were in the back dressing room together. And so I was there, and it was a surreal moment.
Absolutely. Is there any possibility of Vinny being involved in future Kruise Fests?
Well, listen, Vinny's a kind of like Eddie Trunk. He's polarizing in some degree.
Of course.
But Eddie was, but Vinny was in Kiss, and say anything you want to, but it ends with Vinny was in Kiss. Yeah. So I had the opportunity. I went to one of his events last fall, and he was delightful in Nashville. One of my partners, Jay, was just up there recently and met with them. And
at the Nashville event.
Yeah, he hosts some he goes to SIR studios, and he goes in and plays music. He talks, and he was delightful when I met with him. I would say anything's possible. I've got a lot of respect for him. He's a great guitarist. So, I think that's one thing. We'll just see how the future pans out.
Nice. And, for me, Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up, I love those albums, and, some of the 70s fans don't like the 80s stuff. And, the 80s fans seem to be very enthusiastic about that 80s stuff. I think Lick It Up is a fantastic album, and Vinny's songwriting, man, it speaks for itself when you listen to those tunes. And they even liked the songwriting so much that despite all the negative things that Kiss might have had to say about him in the press, they brought him back for Revenge and had him help write some tunes on that, which you could argue that those were the best songs on Revenge, were the ones that Vinny had a hand in writing. Yeah.
So a couple little things about Vinny. I grew up in the 70s, so I was the 70s Kiss guy. But I was very fortunate that I went to the Creatures of the Night. I saw Kiss for the first time in '79 on Dynasty Tour. My dad drove. I couldn't drive. Nice. And then 4 years later in the same arena, they played Creatures of the Night, maybe 1,000 people there. And Plasmatics opened. And but I still can remember standing up on the stage in front, playing guitar, and just was amazing. So I just it struck me because I was a big Ace fan. I wasn't happy about this, but I was going, wow. There's been a lot that has been said about Vinny over the last few years, good and bad, and people can read and make their own opinions of it all. I will tell you that I was when he was playing in Miami. He was very subdued. He was, my opinion, I think he was a little nervous.
Well, absolutely. That was like his first public performance in a very, very long time. So
I remember because
anybody in that situation would be nervous. Yeah.
There was a lot of talk about he didn't play leads, and he didn't. But I remember watching I actually recorded the whole sound check the night before, and I might have released a minute of it and so forth, but I got it all. But I was watching him, and he's really good, like acoustic, like, everyone talks about Eddie Van Halen, and Eddie used to say, hey, to be a great guitarist, got to be a great rhythm guitarist. And he was playing, Vinny was playing amazing rhythm guitar. He was dead on with it all. He didn't play in leads. But that's why I knew, I said, he still can play guitar. I saw him last year in Nashville. He played leads. He was great. But he got up and was so witty and did a great job of storytelling And one thing that really struck me about him is there was probably 40, 50 of us there. And we went around and said hello and talked to him. And he met, meets 40, 50 people. I meet 5 people. I can't remember 4 of their names. And then an hour and a half, 2 hours later, we were, it's Q&A, and we're doing it all. And I raised my hand. He goes, "Hey, Neil." He goes, what you want to ask? And I just thought to myself, he's really paying attention to people, and he's a smart guy. And, I don't, I'm not sticking up for some of the decisions maybe he's made in the past, but I think he's a great musician, and at the heart of it all, he's a good person.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell from the events that he's done, and even the appearances that he did, like at the Vault with Gene, his sentiments of appreciating the Kiss community and their love for him comes across as very genuine.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that's something that you kind of notice about him. And like you said, there are negative things in the press that you might not agree with on both sides. But when it all comes down to it, his songwriting was great. His playing was great on those albums. And,
Yeah.
he comes across as a very genuine person. If he thinks something, he's not going to mince his words on it. And you got to respect some form of that.
I'd love to see him put together a band and play. If he needs a bass player, I'm available. So but I'd love to see it, even if he does it limited. I'm sure if he went over to Europe, once we got back to the festivals, I think he'd go over very well. And I'd love to see him put together a band and get out and do some of the 80s Kiss and some of his own music.
I'm super jealous that you got to see him in makeup on the Creatures tour, because as everybody knows, that was such a very brief period that was happening. And I'm so jealous, because Creatures is very high up on my album ranks for the Kiss catalog.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you. Creatures and Lick It Up are just amazing. People will knock Kiss music, and I play Kiss music, and some of it's, there's stuff that's harder to play off some of the albums. The Creatures and Lick It Up has got some really intricate music and vocal work in it. And it's probably very much underappreciated, the quality of the music that was on those 2 albums.
Oh, I think if you're, as a lead guitarist, if there's out of the whole Kiss catalog, those Vinnie Vincent leads are probably the toughest ones, I would say. Yeah. And, that's to each his own on their preference of the Kiss guitarist, but I'm a big fan of the stuff that he did.
Yeah, me too.
So like we said, you're in Kiss America. When did that start? And talk to me about, just playing Gene Simmons in a Kiss tribute band.
Sure. Yeah. Like any musician, I started off as a kid, 12-year-older, sitting in my bedroom, strumming guitars and learning to play, and I've just been doing it forever. I wasn't gifted with the natural talents guys like you were given, but I tell people, if you do the same thing for enough years, you get the point you can do it okay. So I've just been doing it for so long, I can do it. I actually started a Kiss America has been, we've now been doing it for a decade, which is amazing.
Nice.
I'd had another Kiss band before that, that kind of crashed and burned in the first year. And, I've played in lots of bands over the years. And this, I love it, because at the end of it all, there's a lot of bands that, for me, there's Kiss and there's a lot of bands under that, that I like. So I said, but without question, for me, Kiss is up there. So I love the music. I love the theatrics of it. And as a bass player, I love Gene's style. I emulate it, not nearly as well, but his walking bass style and his growl.
Such an underrated bassist, man.
Yeah. And we love it. We're very fortunate. We got a great booking agency, and we get to play some great venues. We've been doing it for a decade. Every time, there's never been a time I've stepped on a stage, and I've stepped on every type of stage, big, small, everything in between, when I didn't say, I am the luckiest guy in the world to be doing this. And, after 10 years, I feel really good. I'm not, it's just a pleasure to do it. I feel like I'm blessed, honored, every word you could describe it. It's a great experience. And we've grown. I look back at pictures of 10 years ago, and, the makeup was bad, didn't know what we were doing. And, the wig was cocked over the wrong way as well. And, we've gotten better, like everything as well, not only as musicians, but as a band. And, I'm really proud of the show that we present now. And there's a lot of great Kiss tribute bands out there. And, we think that we're certainly up there with the other ones that do a great job emulating it. I'll say though, some people, are they good? I think anybody gets together and plays Kiss music is awesome. If you just want to have some fun, we take it very seriously. And if you just want to have fun and have a Halloween party and dress up like Kiss, do it. It's so much fun. Go get some fake blood, spit it out. You'll have a great time with it all.
Absolutely. And, that kind of goes back to just Kiss fans, just the whole community is so much different than any other fan base. And, you can appreciate any aspect of it. Like you said, if it's just a Halloween band getting together, which
Hmm.
Kurt Frolick and Todd Kearns had a Kiss thing they used to do every Halloween.
Yeah.
And, Kurt played in a Kiss tribute called Black Diamond for quite a few years out of
Yeah.
Canada that was actually pretty successful. So,
Yeah.
and people who have never, there's people that don't get the whole tribute thing. And I'm in a tribute myself for GNR. And, I hear it sometimes, because it's like anything. People are going to have their own opinions about it.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a fan of any band, you can appreciate the music in any aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole different show to talk about the whole, kind of what are tribute bands. But I love it, and I've heard the most flattering and the most negative things say about tribute bands, and it goes back to everyone's entitled to their opinion.
As long as you're enjoying what you're
Yeah.
doing, man, fuck what anybody else thinks. That's
right.
It's your life. Yeah.
Mhm.
So cool. One last thing before we get out of here. And this is kind of I don't want to say it's a polarizing question, but you get different answers. When the End of the Road tour comes to the end, do you think Kiss is actually done?
I think, well, now it's changed because they just, they've had a year break. I think it's in their blood, and I think they're probably so excited to get back out there. I thought before they would finish the End of the Road tour, say they're going to stop, and then they would recreate something. I think Gene does another solo tour. Gene's solo tour was very
I hope so, man.
Very well received, and at the time, Kiss was still touring. There won't be a Kiss. I think I think Gene Simmons puts together a solo show that plays the big arenas, the big halls across the country, and he sells them all out. And I think Paul could do the same thing.
Man, but we've also had some polarizing comments from Gene on that subject where he's like, he talked about the End of the Road tour, and he's like, by the time that ends, he'll be like 73 or 74, I think, supposedly. And he's like, I think when you're that old, it's time to step off the stage. But dude, those solo shows that he did with Ryan, Phil, and Jeremy and Brent Fitz on drums, those were some of the best Kiss-related shows to ever happen, I feel like. Because you got to see Gene playing some shit that Kiss would never play, man.
Yeah, and he played. I've watched some of the shows, and he plays the same song differently different nights. So it's great. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Gene and I aren't friends. We don't talk on the phone. I think that he's going to want to be in the limelight till the day he dies. And I've heard comments about that as well. But he's also said at 70 something years old, it's tough to do all the makeup and everything. He walks out on stage and he's just wearing jeans and a shirt and a pair of sunglasses. I think he's, they're both incredibly fit for their age. I don't think that they're the type of people that want.
Paul Stanley's in great shape for pushing 70. He's in fantastic shape. He posts videos every day of him going on these like mile-long bike rides.
So you asked my predictions. No more accurate than anyone else. I think that they don't play more as Kiss, maybe forever. I think they might do some events here and there. They might do a residency in Vegas. They might do some different like TV shows, a Super Bowl, something like that. I think they both have very successful solo shows. You might even get something where they tour together as Paul Stanley and then Gene Simmons.
You never know, man. Ace and Gene did that tour together in Australia, and nothing's out of the question when it comes to Kiss, and that's the cool thing about them. They always keep you on your toes for the most part. So, Neil Davis, thank you so much for coming on here. Before we get out of here, tell everybody where they can go to get all the information and tickets for this event.
Sure. So all the information, the lineup, all the artists is available at Kissmas2020.com. It's KISSMAS 2020.com. You can buy, there's a few of the in-person tickets left, but more importantly, you can buy the live streaming ones. There's a link there. It takes you to our partner, meethook.live, where you can buy them. Again, $12, and you get registered for a replica Gene Simmons fire-breathing sword. So this could be sitting in your home. I see your amazing collection of stuff back there. There's probably just enough room to have this sword hanging in it as well.
Well, like I said, I'm going to have to buy some live stream tickets now so I can get entered in all this cool shit, man.
Yeah. So anyways, thank you for having me. And, we look forward to seeing you in person and seeing some other friends in person, and then interacting with all the people across the world that love Kiss and everything about the Kiss lifestyle.
Absolutely. And Neil Davis, thank you again for coming on. Me and you can say goodbye off air, but I'm going to go ahead and end the live show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. You heard it. Go to kissmas2020.com, get your tickets and all the info for the event. Thanks y'all for listening.